What if I told you that there are 7 ways to turn her on in conversation? Now, these techniques are based on science and backed by thousands of examples with couples. And some of the techniques are even used by a famous talk show host that he uses on every single gorgeous woman on his show that gets them writhing in laughter and arousal. That's what I'm gonna show you today. Now, after years and years with the same woman, it often becomes a fantasy for a man to walk right up to her at any moment in time and know exactly what to say to spark that flirty chemistry you once had when you were young, to get her laughing uncontrollably and giving you that look, that look that she gives, and just knowing how to press all of her right buttons. And the next thing you know, she's pushing you against the couch, ripping your clothes off in that heated rapture, that kind of spark. Well, not only will the techniques in today's video increase intimacy, ignite attraction, and unlock that carnal desire in her, the best part about all of these powerful methods are that they will also cause her to go into that brain of hers, release dopamine and serotonin, and create that automatic spark of attraction that you've been looking for. Once you master these techniques, your conversations will go from mundane to magnetic. You'll wield this secret power that she'll find irresistible, and it'll improve every aspect of your relationship. And by the way, did I tell you that I'm glad you're here? Because I am, and you'll soon be too. And so will her, because you'll use these techniques on her. So let's just jump right in. Knowing this one will turn your reality on its head with her. Your woman, in fact, all women test men from day one they meet you until your final breath. And one of my clients, Wyatt, didn't get this at first. He described his wife as always picking on him about his insecurities. She would nag at me and jab me, is what he would say. The littlest of things would set him off with her. One time he told me at a family picnic at the park, they were skipping rocks on the lake with their kids. Now he was pretty good at it. It usually got at least 3 to 4 skips per throw. But one time he threw the rock and it did that kind of flat, 2 skips. And then his wife turned to him and said, well, that wasn't really good. Now the little boy inside of him reacted instantly in defense. No, it was good. There was like 3 skips there, is what he said. She looked at him, kind of laughed, and was like, yeah, I was just kidding. You see, a woman will find a potential insecurity and then test you on it. She'll bust your chops, so to speak, just to see how you react. The first thing you need to recognize is changing your mindset about why she does this. The reason why she tests you is because the only way to ensure that you are that guy, that high value man she fell for, is to try to knock you off your pedestal and have you stand firm. She not only loves, she craves to feel your masculinity, that solid frame. And the way she feels this is by testing you and then having you not be reactive. If you are reactive to her, it turns her off completely, just flatline, because she wants you to pass that test. So own it, roll with the punches, chime back out with her in a playful manner. Don't be like Wyatt. Don't become defensive, don't react, don't fail her tests. You'll lose power and attraction in the process if you do. Instead, use witty banter with her in return. Show her how unreactive you are. So in the case with Wyatt, what he could have said was, well, I can't throw like that every time because then the kids won't want to play with me, so I'm just a little bit too good, right? Use that humor. And let's say if you're on a first date with a woman and she calls you too short. You can say something like, I know I'm not that good at climbing, but I'm up for the challenge. Right? Be cheeky with it. And if your wife is, let's say, wants you to take out the garbage and she puts you on this guilt trip and she says, well, someone has to do it. You could respond by saying, is someone my new name? Okay, someone, I like that name. Just have fun. That's the bottom line. Don't take her tests seriously. And that unreactivity will cause her to see you as that guy that she looks up to and wants to climb herself. This next one may seem obvious, but just hear me out. Proper touch at the proper time is effective because it produces oxytocin, also known as the love hormone, and it's a powerful way to communicate with her, okay? So the question is, when is the proper time? Like, how do you do that? Well, I learned this lesson from my friend Scott from high school. He was the coolest guy in the school. I mean, he really was. Outgoing, witty comments up his sleeve, the hottest girl. No one know how he got her, but he did. He wasn't even like the most good looking. Martial arts expert. He was that guy, right? He was him. I respected him and I was glad to be his friend. But we were dog sitting our neighbor Shih Tzu, Chewy, cute little dog, took some warming up to. And I'm not comparing her to a dog, but just hear me out, follow me, okay? Now my friend Scott didn't own a dog, but he loved them. He loved dogs. And when he got to our house, we said, this is Chewy. He said, hey Chewy, what's up, man? Talked to him like a human. Went to go to pet Chewy and Chewy started growling. Now, it would be easy for anyone to feel like, just a tiny bit embarrassed when a dog doesn't give you a warm welcome, treating you like an unwelcome guest. But Scott just said, that's okay, he's just not ready. And we laughed about it. It completely turned the tables on the situation and it kept him at that high level because of the way he perceived things. So where am I going with all this? Like a toddler warming up the courage to go down, run that slide on the playground, It should be the same with her. If you go in for the solid touch and she rejects you, it's water off a duck's back, okay? Understand that no just means not right now. By you being rejected, you will get in your own head about it in the future. Your anxiety is what she will reject, not actually you. Expect her to want to touch you, go for it, and then when she rejects you, laugh it off, say it's not right now, and then just move forward. And I guarantee you over time with these other techniques you're learning, that touch will just be natural. She'll even touch you because of what you're doing. You must go for them because a high value man goes for a touch, and then if she's not ready, it is what it is, and you move forward and your energy is not affected negatively. And speaking of energy, that's the next one. Now, when I mention energy, I'm not talking about dry scooping pre-workout, which I usually do, but I gotta do it for the video, don't I? It's pretty late. I'm gonna fall asleep so late. Just gonna do a little bit. I'm referring to something called the emotional contagion effect. I dive deep into this in other videos, but women are more intuitive than other men are. And emotions spread in a manner like a germs. Whatever you're feeling on the inside will translate over to her. This is the idea of emotional contagion. So when you walk up to your wife in conversation and you're riddled with anxiety on the inside, you're nervous, you're like, oh, should I touch her? I don't know what to do. She's gonna reject those nerves, that anxiety self every time. I don't mean you can't be yourself. What I'm saying here is that it's worth the effort to recognize the energy you are giving off. How you are feeling on the inside is how she is going to feel. For example, one of my clients, Alex, told me about a situation he wished he could do over. His wife was in a great mood after a killer day at work. She was ahead of the game and was excited to kick off the weekend. Yet, he had just started a new job, and for him, his workload was stressful. He doubted his ability to succeed. He was anxious, overwhelmed. It felt like he was drowning underwater and there was no way out. She came up to him excited to share her day. But all he could hear were all the issues she was going through, somehow. And every word out of his mouth was just a weight, pulling her down to despair, eventually taking out a metaphorical gun and completely killing the mood. She told him she wished she never even started the conversation to begin with. How many times has that happened to you? It wasn't until the crime scene was evident that he realized he was the executioner of her mood. Another example of how emotional contagion plays a role with your anxiety. And if you're nervous, when you're communicating with her, just relax, man. Take a deep breath. Focus on fun. It's all she wants from you, to have a good time. Turn yourself on. Appreciate her. Admire her beauty. Be in sync with her emotionally. If she's cold towards you, this is a great way to subtly build warmth and ease and connectedness, like a fire that gives off heat in the dead of winter. Let her warm up to your energy. Be the lead, right? Lead her out of her negative mood, not the other way around. All right, man, you need to slow it down and deeper your tone. Now, I know I speak pretty fast, but you should see me around her. My girl, my partner, I do slow it down. And I'm not just talking out of my butt either. Scientific studies will show that men with deeper, slower voices are more attractive to women. So I guarantee you, when I watch you speak with her sometimes, especially when those nerves are up and running, you're talking way too fast. You're texting way too much. You're talking at a high pitch. And when you go for any ask or thing that you want, you do it with an upward inflection. And Chris Voss talks about this in his book, where he was an FBI negotiator, that people did with an upward inflection are seeking rapport, which is an inherent feminine trait. And if you're a feminine man, she's not gonna be attracted to you. So next time you're talking to her, slow down the voice, talk deeper, and look at her right in that eye. Speaking of eye contact, that's the next one. Now this one is also pretty obvious to me, but all right, let me just give you the best practices for eye contact. Too much, just staring at her the whole time, never breaking eye contact, it's kind of creepy. Looking away constantly will either show you're disinterested or you're not confident. So here's a little trick, especially when turning her on. It's called the triangle gaze. Whenever she's speaking, look at one eye, then look at her lips for a second, look at the other eye, about 3 seconds on each eye, right? And then pause. Then you can look away for a second as she's speaking, but nod your head to give verbal affirmation, and look back at her eyes again. Doing this triangle gaze, she notices, subconsciously usually, without her awareness, that when you look at her lips, it triggers that attraction. I don't know why. It's just showing it because the kissing, that whole thing, but try that one out. Okay, my favorite, the push-pull technique. Attraction is this. It's a range of emotions, right? Opposite of that is some flat line, that boredom, no emotion, the death of all attraction. That being said, a way to make her go crazy is to use a push-pull method. When you have a cat, if you do have a cat, you play with a string. If you just throw the string in the cat's face, it'd be like, what the heck, get away from me, right? And it won't play with you. But also, if you pull it away too much, you don't give it a chance to actually get it, it'll also lose interest. The same method goes with her. You're going to do something to show interest, either through physical touch or a statement, which is pull, and then you're going to show disinterest with a push. Let me show you what I mean. Now, if you just type in Craig Ferguson flirting compilation, you'll see plenty of examples of him doing this, but let me give you a couple examples you can use with her. So let's say you go in for a hug, right? You squeeze her tight and then you say, "Oh, I hate you so much," cheekily with a sarcastic tone, and you kind of push her away, right? Obviously, you're hugging her, so you love her, but you're verbally saying you hate her, okay? That's creating that kind of like weird wiring in her brain, like it really confuses her, but in a good way. Or you could say like, "Oh, I just love you so much, get the heck out of here," right? Or my favorite example, let's say she's wearing something that's just like workout gear, or she's going out and you're looking at her and you're just like, "You're just too much for me right now. You're so gorgeous. I'm distracted right now. Just get out of my sight. Like, how dare you tempt me like this? I don't want to see you tempt me. You seduce me with your ways." You see the game you're playing here? You're showing that you're interested in her, obviously, but it's too much for you to handle. This is the best push-pull technique, and I highly recommend you use it with her. Now, of course, I saved the best one for last. Now, let's face it, humor is sexy. This is because in her eyes, funny people are smart, sexy as hell, high emotional intelligence. Adding that element of humor is a provocative edge that you can have, and it sparks attraction within her. Now, skilled practitioners like Craig Ferguson do excel at this, but how you achieve this is to playfully introduce sexual topics or interpret her words in a suggestive manner. Now remember, subtlety is key. It's a skill you need to learn or you'll come off as creepy, okay? You must say the sexual innuendo in a lighthearted way. Don't make a big deal about it. Be indirect. If she says, "I'm hot and sweaty," don't be like, "Oh yeah, I bet you are." You get the point. That's awkward and unattractive. Instead, let's say you're at a restaurant and she happens to spill her wine and she says, "Damn it, now I'm all wet." You can respond with saying something like, "Whoa, there are children here, woman. I don't want you to say that. Don't talk like that." Right? You're interpreting what she says through a sexual lens. Your voice and your tone are laid back and effortless. That shouldn't change. Remember, this is not a big deal when you say it. Whenever someone acknowledges their own humor, it's no longer funny. So you can practice coming up with these and keep them in your back pocket for when it's time to, ramp it up. Comment down below any other ones you got and tell me how they worked out with her. And I'm telling you, when you lean into these 7 techniques in conversation, you will ramp her arousal up. Now, if you want your wife back and you're struggling to create that connection, ignite intimacy, you're not sure if you can really get her back, what we can do for you is if we have my marriage evaluation team, go ahead and click the link down below. You set up a call with our team. And on that call, if you're fully committed, please make sure you are. We will assess where you are with your marriage and if we can help get her back. We don't accept everyone, so please make sure you are fully committed to that call and you're ready to save your marriage if that is the case, or your relationship. Thanks for watching the video to this point. I love you, truly do. Enjoy the rest of your day.